All right. What is good, my people? We are going to be watching the episode that just dropped today from Mr. NXR Studios. You know how it is on the Wednesdays. That's what we get into. Appreciate NXR Studios with these clips from Nick, or the interviews from Nick. But yeah, we're going to watch that. And we got some Sneako and Nick beef. Oh my God. See what's going on with there. First it was Nick and Myron. Now it's Sneako and Myron. I mean, Sneako and Nick. It's, God damn it. Let's see how this goes. But yeah, appreciate everybody for stopping by. It is a good Wednesday. Let's get right into it.
The bitch shaking it, showing it. You this, you that. We laughing at them together. Oh! So stop treating these mother like they mean something.
Let's go to TikTok. All right, now, first video we're getting into today is going to be the Nick interview. We're gonna get that out the way, and then after that, we're going to see what Sneako has to say about him and Nick's beef. I forgot where that video was at. Hold up. Yeah. And then we'll watch that. So yeah, we'll watch the Nick interview first, and then we'll watch this, whatever this bullshit is.
We focus exclusively on plaintiff's personal injury work. All our clients want is undeniable.
All right. Yeah, make sure that starts off right. All right, back. Yep. So let's get into this Nick interview. God damn, this shit was loud.
Let's talk about masculinity. The reason I want to bring it up, it's something that we talk about on our show quite often. We talk about biblical patriarchy. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about it is because I've seen some clips. And here's the thing, I get it. You know, like for you, it's at a much higher degree, but the concept is similar. Like I've been clipped out a million times and I'm like, wait, that's not the full context. And then also your show is unique because it's like an hour of like, here's the news. This is what's going on. It's serious. And then an hour of like just being a goofball with the super chats, you know what I mean? And so people like, they'll pick out like a super chat and say, he said this and he believes it with everything in his heart. And it's like, I think he was joking, you know? So masculinity, the one clip that I'm thinking of, and we can start there, but I'd like to just get your views wholesale. But you were talking about, you know, peak masculinity is virtually, you didn't say it exactly like this, but asexual. If you're like peak man, you live on a mountain in the Himalayas, you know, something like that, in the woods, you're swinging an axe and you're so one with God and nature and so otherworldly that you forget that you even have, you know, a penis between your legs, you know, you're just like, and so for me, like I think that part of this, and so I'm curious what you think, but I think part of it actually might be a Catholic Protestant divide.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to offend the Catholics, but that actually, and so I'm not saying this in a mean-spirited way, but I actually think that view is kind of consistent with Catholicism. Because when I think like, if I was a Catholic and I want to be the most valuable, God-honoring, like benevolent to the world person I'd probably pursue the priesthood, which is a sexual position.
Right.
It's Protestants where it's like, you've got pastors like me who have so many kids, you have to buy the bus, you know, the minibus, you know, to drive. So it's kind of like a distinctly Protestant thing. Now, Catholics, obviously, like Catholics have big families. But when you think of like, because the way you worded it was not average masculinity. The average Catholic probably should have lots of kids and has historically. But you were saying like peak masculine, like one with God, one with the universe, one with nature, you know, and just not thinking about sex. And so I thought, immediately Catholic priest, is that part of what was in your mind?
Yes, 100%. And I have had this debate with Protestants, with Mormons, actually, because, and I'm not familiar with all the Protestant theology, but I believe Protestants think that you should have family. It's actually like a good thing. Yeah. Whereas Catholics see it more of as a concession from God, that marriage is
a distraction.
Not a distraction, but that the institution of marriage was given to us as a concession because St. Paul says it's better for man to be alone.
Right.
But we can have a wife, and it's viewed more as like an accommodation for mankind than it is a positive good in and of itself. And so it does come from a very Catholic place, because Catholics have a strong tradition of monasteries, monastic life,
Right.
ascetic life, and really the complete repudiation of the world, of the flesh, and pursuing a life of modesty, poverty, chastity. And we see that as actually the highest spiritual life, like you said, like it is for a priest, where a priest doesn't take a wife because
Right.
he's focused on God. His only commitment is to God. So, and it was from that place, and that is that's my unironic opinion. That was
Yeah.
not a joke at all.
No, I could tell that one. I was like, he's saying it in a humorous way, but I was like, no, I think there actually are religious implications under this. There's a reason.
Right. And so, yeah, I do believe, and I identify that with masculinity. I think that the priesthood, I think that the monastic life is the most masculine, manly thing that a guy can do. And that's not my prescription for every man.
Right.
Because I tell my followers all the time, I said, the vast majority of people, they should get married. That is
Right.
what is best for them.
Better to marry than to burn with passion.
Right.
Like it's like, well, I'm going to stay single so that I can do all these things in my work life and career, but I'm just going to be, sleeping around all the time. Well, then, no, you should get married.
Right.
But if a guy actually is capable, I believe it's a supernatural gift. So like what you're referencing was St. Paul, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, where he talks about celibacy. A lot of guys will say singleness is a gift. I think singleness is actually a curse, but I think celibacy is a gift. And so if you have the gift of celibacy, then all the negative effects, the loneliness, the difficult not having a helpmate, right? Eve is given to Adam as a helpmate. So like a life of loneliness in terms of companionship, a life of having to do a lot of things yourself instead of having a helpmate.
Honestly, guys, my opinion on this is, and I don't like saying Phil, we weren't put here by ourselves. So to assume that, and I agree with Nick with the masculinity, like man, strong, but I feel like masculinity also comes with having an heir and continuing your legacy as well too. So that's why it's like, I understand what Nick is saying, but if you're just the strong man on top of the hill, how do you continue unless you just, like, that's what I'm saying. How do you, I want to say, contribute to society or make anything better or become remembered in some type of way? But yeah, I don't think we were put here to be by ourselves, which is why God didn't put us here by ourselves.
I think that those are net negatives. So I think that's the suffering piece. But the supernatural ability not to be overcome by fleshly appetites, to where you could be single and have those challenges, but not sin, that's celibacy. So celibacy is a gift. Singleness is just a state of life, is the way that I would view. And then Paul also says, like, the man who's married, his interests are divided, how he can please the Lord, but also how he can please his wife. Whereas the one who is single can be in full devotion to the Lord. And that's why that's the argument that he gives for why it's better. He says, I think it's better to remain as I am, speaking of himself, being single. But he says to each one is given a gift. And so marriage is a gift. And celibacy is a gift. So he's saying, if you have the gift of celibacy, remain single so that you won't be divided in your interests. And if you don't have the gift of celibacy, then it's should be assumed that providentially God has the gift of marriage awaiting. So what do you think?
I agree. And I think that you're right. For the vast majority of people, that's not really on the table. Celibacy is not, because most people have those, like you said, these very strong passions, and like you said, they burn with lust. So for most people, that is their vocation, is to be a husband and a father. But I do think that it is the higher state to be celibate, if you're called for that, if, like you said, you have that gift, whether it's a monastic life or you're just celibate in general. And I push
Right.
that.
Yeah, I
on
don't
my-
think it has to mean clergy.
right.
I think you can be celibate for, like, historically, there are some guys where it's like, this guy was not clergy, but he was an inventor, innovator, or a general in an army during a wartime. And it's like, yeah, there's no way he could have been a husband,
Right.
at least not well.
Yeah, and I think that I like that Catholic point of view on it, because I do tend to find that family can be another way that people are attached to the world. I think that, you know, for a lot of people that say family is everything, in many cases they sometimes put their family over God, or over their commitments to God, or over what is right. And so I think that it's important that we point towards aspirationally that is kind of the pinnacle of masculinity, is to be completely devoted to God, rather than thinking that the pinnacle of masculinity is to be a ladies' man, which some might say, or the family man, even necessarily, or to do everything for your wife and kids, but it's to do everything for God. So
I moved from Dallas. The order of things I wanted to set.
But that's why it's like it wouldn't be me saying to do everything for God or to do everything for my wife or my family. It would be me saying I'm spreading the word and my seed so that my seed can spread the word as well. Like that, you see what I'm saying? Like
Set up was
I feel like
internet.
that would be more of the argument to where
That-
I would be coming from, is that the more people that I can get to spread the word of the gospel, the more people that can hear the word. So that's where I would get the family from. That's what I would say the family would be for, is spreading the gospel throughout your community with your children, and making the community better. But I like what Nick is saying, being devoted, staying, because I agree, like if you think about it, not having any ties to the world is literally like you said, priest status at this point, pope status. They don't have any facts. So yeah, I definitely agree with, I definitely see where Nick is coming from when he says that.
it is consistent, like you said, I think, with the Catholic faith.
Yeah, so I view the family, the wife, the children, as kind of like the venue, the context where, for a married man with a family, his masculinity is displayed, where it's demonstrated. But I think that being a husband and fatherhood can't be the source of masculinity, and I've noticed that even among Protestants,
they can't. It is
that if somebody just asks the general question, what is biblical masculinity, and nowhere in your definition is there anything outside of being a husband and being a father, then you've essentially said that until marriage and family happen, you don't actually have men and women. You have like this kind of androgynous blank slate, that human beings are basically blank slates, and they become masculine and become feminine upon marriage and family, but they're not prior. And I do think that that being a husband and being a father is one of the chief venues, not a source of masculinity, but one of the chief venues in which masculinity shines. But I think that the way that we define masculinity has to be more than just he's a great husband, he's a great father. Like there has to be something more fundamental, more innate. It's like I have 4 daughters and 1 son. My son he's barely 3 years old, and but it's like very clear he's a boy. Mm-hmm. He has no wife, he has no children. It's like, yeah, this guy, like it's in his bones. I mean, we can dig up bones of like people who've been dead for centuries, and just from the bone we can tell that was a man, that was a woman. Like it runs deep. It's innate to who we are.
Right. Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think that there is sort of a problem among Protestants and Catholics, among Christians, I think in general, that a lot of these guys, they do define their masculinity sort of contingent on the women in their lives. Mm-hmm. Their girlfriends, their spouse, And, I would say that there's like a lot of simping going on.
Yeah.
And I think that
Oh,
in a
God.
sense, they're kind of losing I would say that there's something masculine about not being contingent and not being contingent on another person or on a family like that. And I agree that you have to find a source of masculinity that doesn't just come from your relation to your wife or kids.
Right. It seems ironic. Like, so basically what makes a man a woman?
Right.
Like, so you, a woman is what makes you become a man. That's just where we are right now. I think culturally, and all that has seeped into the church is, well, men, they're called to protect and provide, and they are the head of the home. Well, in what context can they lead? Wherever their wife gives them permission.
Right.
Imagine.
It's a gynocracy. I mean, like, we have two forms of leaders. We have female leaders and female adjacent, women of both sexes. That's just kind of where we are as a country, which is really sad and pathetic.
Right.
It's embarrassing.
It is. And I think that's why, especially lately, and it's sort of to my chagrin, I think it's sort of a missed opportunity. Now the biggest proponents of masculinity are people that are secular or Muslim.
Right.
That's why it's become extremely attractive to young men to be pagan in some cases, to be Muslim and take multiple wives, or to be completely secular because, and the elephant in the room is a guy like Andrew Tate, who he has become the face and the avatar of masculinity in a culture that is completely gynocratic and feminist. And he's somebody who I don't believe in terms of virtue is necessarily a role model.
Right.
He's not Christian or Catholic.
Right.
He's not in favor of monogamy. He's not in favor of, you could say, moral restraint or discipline because he has this life where he's running these camera websites and things like that.
Yeah.
He has a harem. But unlike almost any Catholic, unlike almost any, I would say even regular Protestant Christian, non-denominational Christian, he's actually forcefully reasserting male autonomy and male leadership, I would say even better, and masculinity against feminism, where you're not getting that from Christians at all.
I tell people all the time, like, if you don't like Andrew Tate, I get it. But you have Christian men to blame.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew Tate, nature abhors a vacuum. Andrew Tate filled the vacuum. He looked and saw, all the Christian men are effeminate. And so he just stepped in and just with a little bit of it's like, how did you do this? A little bit of ambition. I chose not to be 300 pounds, worked some exercise, some ambition, some business dealings. And it was pretty much that easy to get a following on the backdrop of a nation and a church within the nation that has such a vacuum for men, for masculinity.
Yeah, because a lot of the, I'd say a lot of the, for some reason, I don't know why, but Christians are so like they just soft. They're just soft now. I don't know why we're soft. Because niggas say you're supposed to turn the other cheek. He wasn't saying that just so you can get beat up, bro. He was saying that so you don't take revenge on nobody and don't seek vengeance on anybody after doing something to you, not to just let them beat you up, bro.
Which is sad. Let's, if you don't mind, and you just talk about what you're comfortable with, but let's talk about you specifically. So, you said that, you're chopping down wood on top of a mountain, you're not thinking about women, you're not thinking about marriage, you're not thinking about sex or any of those things. You're just kind of one with God, one with nature, doing your thing. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think some of it, like I already said, we've discussed, I think some of that stems from your faith, that you're Catholic, whereas I'm Protestant. So I'm going to root masculinity not in marriage and family, but I am going to give probably more value to marriage and family, especially in the case of the clergy, than you would. You would see it as a compromise. So I think part of it is the difference between us is the Catholic-Protestant divide, but also part of the difference is the personal divide. You're 27 and single. I'm married and have 5 kids. And so, thinking about you personally, individually, you strike me as an obsessive person, and all the best ways. Yeah, and I'm sure some of the bad ways, but like you're building an empire. You're trying to take over the world, or at least take over the country, and make a difference. Your life does not seem like a day-to-day basis conducive whatsoever to marriage and family. And there have been men like that throughout history that, there's been pockets of history, and not just pockets, like actually long periods where the average eligible bachelor was 35 years old. Like he spent the first couple decades of adulthood achieving, pursuing, building, and then beckoned a wife into a life that he had already established, so that she didn't have to go through all the hell, to get there. Like I think of the last 10 years of your life, and it probably would have been miserable. I mean, it already was, but you're a guy, and it was probably hard. Like women, NPCs, player, character, but also like naturally pursuing consensus. Women that's the default setting.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. That's what guys should do. You shouldn't chase women. You should make sure you have what you need before you start looking at women. So like Myron says, make sure you have your money in the bank. Make sure because the easier it is for you to leave her, the easier like vetting them will be, like not like being a simp is going to be. So the easier it is for you guys to learn how to talk to women, not be a simp, and leave if they disrespect you, the easier it is for you to find one that's not going to disrespect you, okay? But it's hard to find one when you can't even afford to go to the fucking movies or shit like that. So, or you don't have your own place, or you don't have a car, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to do shit like that with females when you don't have shit.
The factory setting, I think, for every woman is like people say, like, even if we win, how will the women come along, because they're all, liberal and progressive. And I'm like, no, they're not. Like, not ideologically so.
Right.
Like they the irony is it's like we have all these rebellious women against authority. No, they're actually doing what women have always done throughout all of history. They're submitting to authority. The problem is the authority. The reigning authority is a libtard, progressive, anti-America, anti-God authority. And the moment that shifts, right? So I don't have to go around changing hearts and minds with each individual woman. Like, I'm called to do that with my wife and, with my daughters. And but when I think of women in America as a whole, all I have to do is dethrone the current king, right? Because that's what they're doing. Is like they're being individuals and sticking it to the man. No, they're not. They're submitting to the man. The man just sucks. So I just have to beat him.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the chip on the back of their head will be replaced with a new chip, and everybody will be making sourdough and wearing sundresses. And fine.
Oh God, because they can't enforce anything. They just have to follow the rules. They just have to follow the rules, and the rules is letting them be hoes. I like this guy. I really do. I fuck with Joel. I really do.
That's my view. I think that's the way that women are. They naturally pursue consensus. But because of that, you take a woman, just imagine the last 10 years, and she's your wife. With that default setting of naturally pursuing consensus, and you're arguably the most hated man in America. Like, I mean, you could have been divorced like 7 times by now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could have been really, really rough. So do you think you'll get married eventually? Because it does seem like, I mean, plenty of people hate you. You're still, I mean, you got welcomed onto Spotify and then immediately banned right back up. Like, but it does seem like the tide is turning. I could see, maybe not tomorrow, but I think in the near future, where it's like you actually are kind of established.
Ain't nothing wrong with getting married, guys. Just try not to get married under the state if you don't trust the motherfucker. I mean, even if you do trust her, try not to get married under the state. Try to get married in like a church or something with like an actual pastor or a priest or some shit. Not under the state, because the state will fuck you. All right? The state will fuck you raw. No lube, no lotion, none of that shit.
Still people hate you, but it's like you kind of made it. You kind of made it.
Right.
And at that point, like, I feel like marriage could be in the cards in a way that it wasn't prior.
Well, that's certainly true, because for the past 10 years, it just would not have worked for all the reasons you said. And it was just a broader culture. It was hard to have friends. And I said this to Candace Owens. I said, forget even about marriage or a dating life, which requires a lot of trust because you're intimate with a romantic partner like that in a way that you aren't even with your closest friends, which makes you more vulnerable. And if things go wrong, if they don't agree with your decisions, or they look for the exit for whatever reason, and this has been true in right-wing politics for a long time. In fact, I know a lot of people, they get accused of rape.
Imagine being able to build an app
Yeah.
with your name
That's
on
why
it.
you have to vet
Just
these
by
bitches,
thinking.
guys. I'll be trying to tell y'all. You have to vet these bitches. They are not going to vet themselves. They are going to nod and say yes to whatever. They're gonna tell you what they think. You need to tell them what they think. They're gonna tell you they don't like broke bitch ass niggas. They're gonna say that with their chest. You need to say we don't like whores that don't know how to cook, and shut up. That's all you need to say. They'll say to your face, I don't want no broke ass bitch ass nigga. She'll say it with her chest out too, like this. Bitch ass nigga. She'll say it. She don't want no bitch ass nigga. She'll say it just like that. So that's what you need to say to these bitches. I don't want no hoe that don't know how to shut up and nor cook. Okay?
Sexual assault.
Yeah.
Like you said,
You gotta
many
vet-
times
you gotta
it's
vet these women,
divorce,
guys.
and it's life ruining. But not only that, sometimes they'll go and spill secrets or information to the press. Like this has all been very commonplace, and that has just been kind of the social environment. That's the social landscape, and women are the ultimate enforcers of conformity.
Yep. And
So
it's the legal environment.
yes,
I mean, all the courts are geared towards the woman.
all of it. Yeah,
You'll
the
lose your
Me Too
kids.
thing.
You'll lose your house.
Right. So for the past 10 years, it's not even been in the cards to have really any social life at all.
You know what's so funny? I was watching this video. I wish I want to see if we can find it real quick, but I might even not waste your time. But I was watching this video, and this girl was literally talking to her nigga, right? She's talking to her man. She's like leaning on the wall. She starts crying, and she's like, "You know what's so scary? That I just realized how like you could literally kill me right now." Bitch said, "You know what's so scary? I'm so scared because you could literally kill me right now." You know what a bitch ass nigga would say? You know what a bitch ass nigga would say? She's right. He could kill her. He could. Just like she could say, hey, this guy fucking raped me. And guess what? His life is over. He can't even get a fucking job. He go to jail. He's getting fucked. Why is it so that when something happens to a woman, the only thing niggas think about is the woman? Can the women not do, like, that's what I'm saying. You niggas have to get out this fucking women can't do nothing wrong. These bitches are evil. They're evil. They're capital evil. All right? What happens to a person when all they're told is yes? They turn into fucking evil motherfuckers. Okay? So it's not me being a fucking, I don't like women. I'm just telling you the truth. Bitches are evil, bro. It's okay.
It's just hard to paint that picture.
Right.
That, like someone is just utterly evil when there's, there's 6 people in his life that adore him. So it is kind of, it's almost like a resume, like the wife and kids. And so it's just like when you're 15 and you don't have Harvard on your resume, nobody, assumes that means that you're stupid. It's like, well, he's only 15. He wouldn't be able to go to Harvard even if he was gifted and intelligent and capable. But eventually the verdict comes back in. Like I remember when I hit 30, like, cause when you're 22, you're like, I could be anything. But by the time I was 30, like the kind of guys that I admired, that I wanted to be like, I was able to look and say, where were they at 30? Oh, they were speaking 3 languages. They were studying, in England, whatever. Yeah, I think it's safe to say, I look at, this is my pedigree, this is theirs. that ship sailed. God will use me however he wants to use me, but it won't be like that. I'm not that guy. If I was that guy, to think that I would be where they are at 50, I would need to be somewhere where they were at 30. You see what I'm saying? And I think the same kind of, so whether it's pedigree of education, or earning potential and, career. And I think that marriage and family is kind of like just one of those benchmarks of a sign of credibility. So there's a certain point where it's like singleness can be advantageous. And then there's a certain point where I think it becomes a liability.
I don't know. I would say that that's certainly true from a reputation point of view, but at the same time,
even like I said, even kind of from a life point of view, like when you're always by yourself, who's gonna who's the fuck is gonna take care of you when you're sick, nigga? Like, if something happens to you, who the fuck? You're in the mountains and you break your leg, nigga. How the fuck, who the fuck is gonna help you?
there are so many risks these days with being married.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, I agree with Nick. I definitely agree with Nick. Being able to have that strong bond with God and being one with everything, and just being able to not be overcome with the lust of sex. I agree with that, but being by yourself all the time, if we were supposed to be by ourselves, God would not have given us another person. I swear to God. I promise you. And I'm not saying that we need, to continue the human race, we need them. But I'm not saying we need them to survive, because the only thing we need them for is to reproduce our children. But again, it's always good to have somebody else there just in case something happens. Okay, so that's why it's like, we weren't put here by ourselves. I want to be with you on this, but if God put us here by ourselves, I would agree with you, but he didn't.
Huge liability, I think a lot of people will acknowledge, at least on our side, that you don't want to be single and all that sort of thing, but few people acknowledge the real risks of being married. And maybe that's because there's not a good answer for that from a traditional Christian point of view,
Right.
which is that the social and legal climate, it isn't what it is 100 years ago. And so a lot of people want to kind of role play like it's the 1900s or the 1800s for that matter. And that works, I think, up to a point, as long as both parties are on the same page. But as you know, and I know because I have parents that are still married, that have been married for 35 years, when you're married, you're in it for the long haul.
Right.
And people change over decades, over a long period of time. And in a environment where divorce is not only incentivized legally, but encouraged socially, you just really never know what is going to happen in the long run. And especially for someone like myself, I don't think the risks ever really go away for something like that.
Yeah.
And that is actually a big concern for me. It's not just that I'm preoccupied and I have to be very mobile and agile and able to take on risk. And, on some level, I have to be willing to die every day. If you look at what happened to Charlie Kirk, and what almost happened to me, someone showed up to my house with a gun. Imagine if I had a wife and kids. On some level, it wouldn't be responsible for me to keep doing what I do. But even beside that, it's that's always could be the weakest link, which is to say, if the forces that I fight against, if they can't get to me, if they can't tempt me, if they can't trap me, if they can't get me vulnerable, they'll always go for the person closest to you.
Right.
And if that person is a woman,
Right.
well, you might be in trouble, because women are...
But they can always choose your family too, though. So that's why it's like, you have family, nigga. You're not gonna... They get your dad. You're not gonna... You know what I'm saying? So it's like, Nick is my guy. Nick is my guy. Nick is my guy. Nick is my guy. But yeah, and I agree with him, which is why you'll never see mine on camera. You'll never see mine in the comments. You'll never see me post mine. You'll never see mine anywhere, because I don't need you attacking mine. So it's like, I understand what Nick is saying, but there's always going to be something that they can get you with, that they're going to be able to hold against you, brother.
Are more vulnerable to that sort of thing than men. And they have a way of rationalizing.
So that's why it's kind of like, that's why it's like you kind of have to be that not caring in the woods to even do, to really live. Because if you're not, then they can, if they don't get a girl, they can get a family member. It's not like unless you're the only nigga in your family, or you just don't give a fuck about your family. Like, but yeah, that would be.
I don't want to say treachery or something, but women, I think, are a lot more malleable. They panic. And so if you're in that siege mentality of everyone, which I think is very clear in my case, trying to kill me or knock me off or gossip about me, and then you bring someone into the fold, a woman who is a lot more, I'd never panic, but women, that's sort of what they do. There is something extremely risky about that. And I do think about that a lot, even in the early stages of a relationship. Forget about marriage, when they're entitled to half your things and they share a home with you and they have your children, which is a big form of leverage. Even in those initial stages, at what point do you take off your mask? At what point do you fully trust somebody? Even telling them where you live, for example,
Right.
Even telling them your address, let's say, in my case, that's just kind of the life that I signed up for. So, I want to get married, I think, at some point, but I definitely don't feel any pressure to, because a lot of people want that for me, or they wish that I would, but
No, but I definitely agree with Nick personally. Exactly. He's one of the guys where like getting married would kind of be hard for him, especially now, because the volatile nature of the stuff that we talk about is, because I'm nobody. So I could kind of get married right now and be chill. Eventually, when I become somebody, it'll be kind of harder. But I already have a person, if that makes sense. I found a person when I was nobody. So it'd be harder for me to find a person when I'm somebody, because then I couldn't really trust anybody, if that makes sense. Whereas since I'm nobody and I found this person and taught this person what I know, it's not more so me worried about somebody sending anybody to attack me, because don't nobody fucking know me. Don't nobody give a fuck about Anya.
they also don't live my
Yet.
life.
Right.
And they don't really understand my life.
Right.
Or me, for that matter. So that's kind of where I come at it from.
Yeah, there's a certain assurance, and I think of the Proverbs that say, rejoice in the wife of your youth always, like not growing apart, continuing to love her, but just that last part, the wife of your youth. There's a certain assurance in meeting. It's someone being a childhood friend before you became what you.
And with the Andrew Tate, because I wanted to say something about that. I forgot where we was gonna go with the. I thought they were gonna talk a little bit more about Andrew Tate, but with the Andrew Tate thing, I wanted to say something too as well. He is a role model, because he said he's not a role model. I want to say he's just not a Christian role model. I would say he's more, like he said, a secular role model. But again, that happened, like Joel said, is because the Christian men weren't stepping up and saying anything, or they were letting weak men run the country. So of course he had to come and say something. But yeah, I still appreciate Andrew, because he doesn't tell men to be bums, if that makes sense. So even though he does some degenerate things, the message he brings is still valuable, if that makes sense.
What you are, like there would be a certain security in knowing, like, let's say that, instead of blowing up into the stratosphere at 17, let's say it happened at 27, right? Your age now, but you met, your sweetheart at 17, and you got married at 20. And so you already have like 7 years, the better part of a decade under your belt. And she loved you for you.
Right. See, that's what I was just saying.
Knew your name before any of these things happened. And then when those things do happen, like there's like, you never have to wonder, you never have to question. And now, like, whoever you meet, you will wonder, like
You have
How
to
big is her
though.
nose? When you take her out on the first day,
You
like, what
said
is
it.
it? I said it, but I mean, but seriously,
big is her nose? This
people
nigga's-
say that's silly.
But that's why I just said what I said with because I use me for example, because nobody knows me, so I could definitely have a family right now and be chill, and then get big because I know the woman that I'm with listens, because she's not listening because I'm rich or because I'm Nick Fuentes. She's listening because she wants to. So that's why it would make sense for Anya to have a family, because I'm nobody. Nick is somebody already, so it's kind of hard to. That's even fucking harder. It's already hard to detect if bitches be lying. It's already hard because you got to do a lot of fucking. You have to know a lot of womenese to know when a bitch is lying. But to deal with that and be rich and famous and niggas hate you for real, like niggas hate you for real, that's even harder.
No, it's not. It's not like to think that, you know, because even if it's random, you just meet her at a coffee shop, like the CIA or Mossad or whatever, like to think that they would plant a woman in your path a couple of times. Like we've seen it in the movies, you know, like, so, all right. So that we're following Nick, we've traced him. We know his daily routine when he goes out in public. And so we're going to have this woman, you know, she's going to be regularly stationed in these places, and then, you know, have some kind of seemingly natural, you know, bumping into Nick and having a conversation. And I mean, all that could be orchestrated.
Right.
Absolutely.
I swear to
It's
God.
like not inconceivable at
They orchestrated the moon landing, niggas. They put that shit together. They tricked you niggas into thinking the moon landing was real.
all. You know, so all that being said,
You don't think they could trick
if
you into
do
thinking
get
this bitch
married,
like you?
how do you think? Obviously, you know, you don't have a crystal ball, but how would it happen?
I'm sorry, Mama.
I have no idea.
I woke my dog
And
up.
I have no plan for it either,
Right.
because, you know, you think about how people, I think that normies, let's say, they have a hard time finding a wife.
Right.
If you talk to normie men who may not even share our politics, period, let alone be in politics, how do they find a wife? It's the dating apps,
Right.
maybe going to a bar. I can't see myself doing either of those things.
If you were on a dating app, you would be mocked relentlessly forever.
Yes.
Like seriously, I mean, it'd be screenshots posted everywhere. You know, like you can't.
If we were in 2005, maybe. But since we're in 2025, dating apps internet is the key, guys. Instagram is a dating app. Instagram is Tinder without the swipes, okay? You go to the page, you look at the ass, and you message. That's literally what you do on Tinder. You just don't swipe on Instagram. It's the same thing. I mean, you can swipe if she has a collection of pictures. You can swipe through the pictures like Tinder. But instead of having to like and wait for her to like you back, you can just message the motherfucker instantly. Instagram is Tinder without the swipes. So, if Nick was to have dating apps, that's like having multiple sources of income, because we are in 2025. Well, I keep saying 2020. We're in 2026. That's like having multiple. We're 14 days into, and this nigga's still saying 2025. We're 14 days in. But it's like having multiple sources of income, okay? So that's what niggas have to understand. Dating apps are like having multiple sources of income. If you're trying to get bitches, you want to have multiple sources of bitches. So you want to go to IG, you want to go to Tinder, you need Hinge, you need Bumble, you need all them shits, because the more, because men do not just get regular attention, right? So the more attention you can garner or you can get from all these apps, the easier it is to find a woman, because you will be getting more attention than usual because you have more sources of income. So like I said, dating apps are not a bad thing. If Nick was on a dating app, it would kind of be normal, because why would he be going out talking to bitches? So he can get shot in the head, like, the fuck?
Exactly. And going to a bar, how's the introduction going to go? Hey, I'm like the most notorious, extremist in America. So it'd have to be arranged in some way, or...
Which foundation is good for a steamy situation? All right. It's a hot pot date. Hot pot date. Got it. House labs.
Like you said, a family friend or something, although I don't know any like that. It would have to be something of that nature. But I always thought in the back of my mind that if it was meant to be, God will provide that in my life, and it will be unmistakable. And if not, then maybe it's not meant to be. But I'm definitely going to get more serious about pursuing that as I get older. With each passing year, I think, all right, it's maybe it's time now to start looking. And it definitely, I will say, gets easier. I seem to have come out on the other side of so much turbulence.
You're still hated, but I would say, I think it's safe to say you made it. If they were going to take you out, I think in terms of the statistical likelihood, it was the last 10 years. Like if they were going to be able to crush you, because they threw everything at you.
That's true. I would also say, though, certainly it's less turbulent now, because for years the money was all over the place and getting attacked constantly. It just was uncertain if I would ever achieve that like liftoff velocity, the breakout velocity. But the higher up the mountain you go, the more treacherous it becomes. Yeah. The more influence, the more power, the more you paint a target on your back. And certainly I've got the attention of powerful people now. And I would say it's almost the opposite. Maybe it's more likely. Okay. But it's a different kind of threat.
Well, more likely in terms of like an assassination, like a Charlie Kirk situation, yes. I think moving forward, more likely. But in terms of the likelihood of you just being, silenced and suppressed and dying by, 1,000 paper cuts kind of situation, I feel like that you've broken out and the genie's not going to go back in the bottle. Like even if Spotify never lets you on or YouTube never lets you on, like it's at this point pretty inevitable.
Yeah, niggas.
I don't know. I think it's still pretty fragile. And, and maybe that's PTSD on my part.
Yeah, maybe.
Because when you have been had the rug pulled out from under you so many times.
Oh my God. And that's why I hate, I don't want to say I understand Nick, but I understand Nick. Bro, Anya is used to being viral. That viral, all these comments, trolling niggas in the comments. I'm used to doing that shit. I was viral on TikTok plenty of times. I was viral on TikTok years ago. And as soon as I went viral, because I was red pill on TikTok, but I was only red pilling with the women. I wasn't even talking about the Jews yet. Anya was viral on TikTok. Quick too. It didn't take Anya long to get viral on TikTok. As soon as they saw I started red pilling niggas shadow ban. Community guidelines. Violation. Every video. And nigga was just saying, I was just using sounds from other people's videos. I would get tagged on my videos from using somebody else's sound. That's how crazy it would be. It wasn't even like Anya was using his own sounds and talking. I'm using other people's sounds and I'm getting banned. So that shit would, so that's why I understand what Nick is saying. Cause it's like, bro, they can pull that shit anytime, bro. I swear to God. That's why I be trying to tell niggas, don't get too hype on this IG shit. This is just for now. Don't get too hype on IG. IG finna say fuck you in a couple of minutes. Don't worry. So we'll see. Like Nick said, we'll see.
Always just waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm optimistic and I'm
hoping.
pleasantly surprised by what has happened. I never thought things would go in the opposite direction. And by that I mean censorship and cancel culture, political correctness. It was our understanding that it would always get worse forever.
Right.
More censorship, it would just get more extreme. Nothing surprises you. So I definitely feel very good about where we are, but having seen how things can turn on a dime and the pendulum swing back and forth, it does make me nervous. I'm always a little uneasy.
You got to remember, Elon came out and bought X, said, we going to bring back free speech. You can say whatever you want on X. As soon as niggas was talking about him and them H-1B visas, he banning niggas, taking away their badges.
So that's why I'll always have my guard up a little bit.
Don't trust these niggas.
Last question. So it'd be hard to meet, a woman in person. You never know.
We really need, but that's why it's we have to, I want to say the governments have to run social media, but we can't give the governments too much power over social media because if they don't like what they hear and they might silence it. That's why it's nobody can have power over social media. Nobody is allowed to own social media. We have to all own the social media so that if anything has to be passed, we all have to agree on it. So it's because social media is our only way of communicating with each other without having to go through somebody else's, line or party or that's instant.
Does she know me?
We need to just own the social media.
What about mass? Do you are you able to physically attend mass?
Yes. I don't want to say how.
Oh, that's fine.
But I attend mass in a way where I have more confidence that I won't be identified. And the trouble with something like that is, I don't even want to say, but if someone is trying to, let's say, hurt you, they observe your patterns. You know, when you leave the house, when you return, you know, in other words, you're looking for predictable behaviors. You're looking for patterns. So I try not to be predictable. I try to break up the pattern a little bit. So I'm not going to get too detailed, but maybe you can imagine.
Yeah.
But I mean, are you asking about meeting a woman at mass or something?
No,
like that?
I was just thinking,
Or just in general?
I was just thinking like, I know you're Catholic, but the thought crossed my mind. I wonder if he ever gets to physically attend mass.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I'll say this. I definitely have to avoid the traditional masses, because that's where all the groypers are going to be.
Right.
Or my biggest detractors. You know, and there have been stories floated online. People make things up. Some woman said I got yelled at traditional mass by women, and it's like that never happened. But you know that if you go to these things, it then becomes a forum for everybody to give me their feedback.
Right.
Which I'm not really interested in. I don't go there for that purpose.
Right.
But yeah, like everything else, it's a logistical challenge.
Yeah. I imagine aside from that and traveling, if I was you, I'd probably just want to leave my house. Do you stay home most of the time?
I do. I almost never leave.
That's what I figured. I mean, these days you can order everything, have everything delivered. So I kind of imagine you.
Gotta be careful with that, though. Niggas poison the shit that
Which
they
I
do.
like.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Which leads us full circle all the way back to the beginning. The guy, you know, all alone swinging the axe. I felt like when you said that, I mean, you were being goofy in the way that you were saying it. You know, you had a smile on your face, but I thought, nah, he really means that. And I think for two reasons. I think what he just depicted is Catholic. And also it's him. That's kind of, you know, like I think he's describing something that actually does stem out of Catholicism in a way that it's foreign to Protestants. But then also something that I think is unique to him as an individual. So thanks for the show. Appreciate it. And we'll see everybody in the next episode.
For those of
Cool, clean, and collective. We like this. I had some shit on me. The fuck? Okay. All right. Let's see what Nick has to say about this nigga. Oh, that's what she's playing. Let's see what Nick has to say about this nigga. Where is... Oh, yeah, okay, hold up. Hold up, y'all. All right, now let's see what Sneako has to say about Nick. Or what Nick had to say about
How
Snick.
do you feel about Sneako's hard stance on the Venezuela intervention? Seems to be in line with others like Glenn Greenwald, Dave Smith, and others. Ignore if you hit this in the monologue.
Yeah, you know, I like Sneako, but I disagree with him vehemently. And I really respect Glenn Greenwald. I really like him a lot. I really like Dave.
I spoke to him once.
He's great. I like all of these.
And Dave Smith, man. Dave Smith is one of the only people really standing strong on being anti-war. Has not sold out on that. And I love what he's doing, trolling Dan Bongino like that. Dan Bongino is crashing out. Former deputy director of the FBI cannot stand one comedian. One Jewish comedian in New York City is all it takes for Dan Bongino to block all of Twitter and lose his mind slowly. But, I mean, you really deserve it. I mean, I don't wish anybody's downfall, but after covering up for that, you do deserve backlash.
Well, Dave is a libertarian. Glenn Greenwald, he's liberal. Like, he's a left-wing guy.
Is he?
Sneako is sort of a left-leaning guy. And
this is what I'm talking about, bro. I'm left-leaning. So, look. When the Hassan fans see me in New York, they say, I miss the old Sneako. Like, dude, what happened to the old guy before you went down the alt-right red pill pipeline? I'm like, what do you mean? Well, tell me what you mean specifically, because I want to... And they're like, shh, they get mad. I'm like, dude, you yelled at me explain what you said. Sorry, my bad. And then they fold because they don't have any points. They don't know what to say. I'm too lib for the alt-right and too right-wing for the libtards, but just real enough to get banned everywhere.
Wait, where is he banned at?
For this world.
I say, aren't we
What did
watching
Tyler, the
him
creator,
right now
say? Too white for the black kids, too
YouTube?
black for the white. I'm every race. I'm too Asian for the black people. I'm too white for black nationalists to say I hate black people. I'm too brown, too Asian for the white supremacists that they say I hate white people. I guess I'm too Muslim for America. They think that I hate this country because I'm just here. I'm just chopped liver in every group. Being me is so hard, bro. No, but real talk. It was Earl Sweatshirt who said that. That's been my whole life. That's been my whole life. Not only ethnically, but now politically. Because again, I'll repeat this. I reject political association. I don't think that you should align yourself with these ideologies of right wing, of left, of socialist, of fascist. All of it's stupid to me because there's going to be hypocrisy everywhere. And the best thing to do is just follow God. Just follow that. That's going to be morally consistent. God's not going to mess up. God's not going to disappoint you. God is going to make sense, right? And whenever you align too far with anything, you're gonna find yourself with contradictions. Like yesterday, I saw Nick was talking about the Venezuela regime change, and he's saying, if you don't take pride in these helicopters going in, then I don't like you. And I understand that. There is like the Call of Duty American in me that sees that. I'm like, this is fucking cool. But it's also a sin to be prideful, right? It's one of the 7 deadly sins. So seeing that and taking pride that you're invading, that you're taking your president, capturing him. Yes, it's cool. Is it aura? Undeniably. But that's why I think the pride could distract you and prevent you from seeing the bigger picture. Yes, it's cool, but I think thinking it's cool will blind you from the fact that it doesn't really benefit us, that we haven't seen any benefit, right? $1.8 billion of oil is not really, it doesn't do anything at all so far.
I'm right wing. I'm a realist. I always have been a foreign policy realist as long as I've been doing the show. Even when it comes to Iran, I don't want regime change in Iran, but I don't want Iran to have nukes, you know?
I don't want Iran to have nukes, but Israel has nukes. I mean, I understand his point of view, but this is similar to what Ben Shapiro is saying. Sahad, thank you for the 10. Blonde Mexican Ben Shapiro will agree with you when USA debt reaches $50 trillion. I mean, we're at $38 trillion. It's inevitable that we're going to hit $38 trillion. So invest in Bitcoin right now. I want to talk about that Federal Reserve thing. That's going to be later on in the show, but bro, right now is the perfect time to invest in Bitcoin. I think it's like 92K right now. I just bought a bunch. I just got a bunch more because it's like Trump is trying to fire and arrest everybody in the Fed who is, you know, they don't want to budge on the interest rates. So there's clearly a problem, a long-term problem. It's glaring that the U.S. dollar is going to face, and so Bitcoin is preventable from that. It's the first crypto, most reliable. I've made a lot of money on it. And look at the predictions. Like the predictions are by 2030, Bitcoin's going to be at $300,000 minimum, right? Now's the time to get that. So
you can play Hero Wars with one hand.
What the fuck are we
leaving
watching?
Other hand for drinks.
What the fuck is that? This bitch putting up demon signs. But anyways, what's it called? What the fuck did this nigga just say? This shit is fucking.
Right. The predictions are by 2030.
Oh yeah, Bitcoin. Yeah, definitely. Bitcoin is definitely a definite good investment, guys. I remember when Bitcoin was fucking like 1,000, bro. I'm so pissed. And I please, that is one of the investment that I will tell you guys to do. Bitcoin, definitely. And I don't promote investments a lot.
I've always been in favor of America pursuing its strategic interests.
How do you?
Okay.
Yeah. See. Look, I understand him saying that he.
And like I said, I'm not agreeing with Nick or Sneako because I see both sides. Like in real life, you kind of have to be the big bad. If you want to be in control, you kind of have to be the big bad. So realistically, we have to do certain things, but we don't have to do everything. If that makes, and that's why I'm with Sneako and I'm with Nick, because yes, we do got to do certain things, but sometimes the certain things that we do are going to make us look bad. And how many bad things can we do before everybody hates us?
He doesn't think Iran should have nukes, but it's inevitable that other world powers are going to have nukes, right? It's going to happen. So if you want to stay consistent,
also, guys, nukes aren't real.
you should say nobody in the world, because if you're going to put America first.
Y'all ain't ready for that, though.
Nobody should have nukes. Then we should invade Russia. We should invade China. We should prevent anybody from developing real technology. And obviously that's impossible. It's not going to happen. But why isolate Iran as this? Why are we isolating Iran? It's because first off, we can do it. We can invade Iran. We can put regime change.
Okay, yeah, they basically, Nick is saying strategically that was smart. I agree with Nick. Strategically, that was smart for us because we really needed it. Well, yes, because the petrodollar is going to shit. So strategically, we technically needed that. Does that make us look bad? Worse? Yes, but strategically, we definitely needed that. So I definitely still agree with Nick here. I still see Sneako's point of view, and I still want to be anti-war, but we have to be realistic, guys. You just have to be realistic, and that's what Red Pill is just being real. Literally how I am with women, so it's like I can't change up when it comes to real life or like literally real life. So yeah, I definitely agree with Nick here on this subject. I'm still anti-war, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and that's what we did. Shit, fuck, god damn it. But all right, guys, today was a nice easy day, nothing too crazy. Nice easy Wednesday. Got to watch Joel and Nick talk about masculinity, and saw Sneako and Nick's point of view. We might finish this video next stream on Friday just to see what they was talking about, so I won't watch it, but yeah. Nice easy stream today, nothing too crazy. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. I hope everybody has a great Wednesday. Oh my god, not me doing the fucking Jesus. Hope everybody has a great Wednesday, and I will see y'all boys on Friday. Peace.
The bitch shaking it, showing it. You this, you that. We laughing at them together. Oh! So stop treating these like they mean something.
Let's go to TikTok.